Let me start. Okay. Is it recording? Yeah, no, it's okay. It has started recording also now. Fine. So let's go to the basics. So we have a lab today. So we are going to have some coding basics. We'll be starting from basics. As I have learned from the Britishers that whatever a person knows, you always start from the scratch. So I will be starting from the scratch only, but that's okay. But what is required? Only that. Okay, not something which you may not be requiring at all. So ये करेंगे and basics of Python. We have to start. What is Python? Python is actually a language as an interpreter also. It works both ways. Like you have MATLAB, it can be as an interpreter and as a language also. Right? And programming is just a set of instructions actually, which you give to anything. It can be anything. Okay. But in our case, it will be our computer. So we are giving some instructions to the system to do a particular job for us, right? So let's have it now. So now the print statement, I already told you that we write like this: hello world, with in the parentheses we write and hello world. It's okay. We always do hello world too. It's okay. And you have to run when you run the first time. It takes little time, but rest of the commands will be fast. So it is only during the first run collab would be slow. So that's okay, expected. And it has to actually load few things, the libraries and all. It has to create the environment and all. Okay, so if you want to see where the folders are, so you can click on the left hand side files, and you can see that you have an option to upload data file, or if you can have the drive also, and sample data is already there. If you want to use the sample data, you can use the sample data also. Okay, MNIST data is there, then California housing test is there, so you can use this directly also. In some cases, if you just want to test your code, so you can use this also. Okay, so now Python, let's see what output it gives you. If I say 3 plus 5, entered it, 3 plus 5, and when I run this, it will be 8. Simple, that's not an issue. But when I give something like this, 3 and something, hello, this one, result equal to 3 plus 5. Again, giving 3 plus 5. So you can give like this also, or with the labels or without the labels is your choice. So you can do that. Have more formatting. It takes a separator also. So you can have something like which is not there in most of the languages. Welcome. I say 2, and then I say Python. I'll just run it first. Welcome to Python in one line. Now copy this. Set separator is equal to escape sequence. I'm going to give now /n. Different escape sequences. This is the one I'm using right now. /n is for new line. You must be knowing that. And let's have it. See, Now the separator tells that the things you are printing is not to be on one line, it has to be on different lines. So separators you can give like this, but if I give with a line, let's see what happens with one command rather. No, no tokens. Tokens is one word. Like this, remove this. The formatting is actually which are important, not this one. This is just an introduction. I'll show you a few things which are interesting, because when you want to display your data, you want your data to be properly labeled, and also you need certain commands which I'm going to tell you, and that you can do. Okay. Now, suppose you have something like this. Two results you have. Welcome. You have another. So you say I will run. Then it will be on two lines, right? But I want on the same line. So it happens like when you're running a loop and you want on the same line, the output to be on the same line, and since there is a print command, so it will keep on giving on the next line. So what you do is you can put int equal to and quotes. Now you run it, it will be on the same line. Okay, so I can write here output on the same line. So end equal to you have to use, and with end you can use escape sequences also if you want. That is also there. Okay, so we have now formatted also. Let's say we have some mathematical computation. We say sum is equal to 5 plus 6. Product is equal to 4 into 5. And what else we can have? We can divide also. Equal to 5 by 6. I want to show you something. Now, if I print SPD, SPD, okay, let's see. You can get the output. No issues. See, as you can see that Python does not have a data type. Okay, it does not have a data type as such, but it does have type of the data. What type of data we have? Okay, integer, float, double, whatever type of data we have. Strings we have. String is not a data type actually in Java, but you can have it like that. It has actually containers, and containers we'll be talking about, and that is sometimes called as data types also. So I have no objections if someone calls it, and I can refer to as data type just to remove the confusion. But they are containers because they are actually containing the variables. They are the variables actually containing the data. So they are containers. So we have different type of containers here, but as such, like we have to in C and other languages or in Java also, you have to say int a is equal to so and so such and such thing. So integer, char, float, double we have there, but in this case we don't have. It takes on its own. You can see that. But if I want to be with some labels, this data to be with labels, so I can do something like this also. Some equal to, I can have some equal to percent d, then I can have slash n product. Slash n is for next line. Percent d. These are all integers, so I'll be using slash d only. Slash n division. I'm just writing div is equal to. Now this is actually float, but I am going to give it D only. D is for decimals. I give S E D and I run it. To know what I'm doing. You can see that percent D. You can see that percent D has also come, but I don't want that to be there. Okay. So what I did not give was percent sign. Instead of a comma, I have to give a percent sign. Okay. So I give it like this. And you can see there's some error. Let me see. Okay. The error is actually this has to go in a bracket. And you can see the type of error Python returns no, not enough argument for format string. So it is actually you did not give a bracket. I did not give a bracket. Now this percent sign has gone. Earlier there was no data, only data was displayed like this, but there was no output, proper output. Now sum is equal to 9, product is equal to 9, 20, and div is equal to 20. Since I have given slash n, it has gone to the next line and with some indent also. But that's okay. I can actually move it on the left side. I just have to remove the spaces, that's all. Okay. Now you can see that div is 0. Why? Because I have given decimal. And since the data type is not there, but it follows the same rules as other languages, so I have to give it as a float. मुझे float ही देना पड़ेगा and float से मेरा result आ जाएगा. Right? So you can give a formatted output. So जब भी हम कुछ कर रहे थे, whenever we are doing something, we actually want the output to be good, readable. Readable outputs are always good, and in Python, this is the way you can give the formatted output, and there are other ways also. And let me show you. Uh, we have okay. SPD already is there, so I don't have to use SPD again. So I can use this line. I'll just copy paste. I can change the format. With Collab, actually, if it has already run once, so where it takes the variables, so I don't have to worry about this. I have another format of doing this. Another way of doing this. 0 and show you something interesting. And D and the other one also. This is 2. And you can give it as F or whatever you want to give. You can give 2 as F, and then you can say instead of percent, you can give dot format. Ways of doing same thing actually. I run it. I hope the syntax is good. Yeah. So there was a format. I missed T. Happens. Yeah. Sum, product, and div. You can see. So 0, first one, that is S. 1 is P, and 2 is D. I can actually control my float values also. These will be helpful only when you will be using the float and you want to get the outputs, formatted outputs. Now you can see only 2 after decimal. 2 before decimal, it is actually there was nothing there, and 2 after decimal, so we get the 2 values after decimal, rest they have gone. Okay, so you can use like this, but the interesting part is this. I'll show you the interesting part. Suppose I change the numbers, I make it 2 and I make it 1. Let's run it. See, unknown format. What happened? D float. Yeah, this is not float. 1 is not float. You can see that it is a decimal value, so you cannot give f with that. Okay, so you cannot give f with that. But what I can do is I can have something like I'll just make it d only. Let's see. The output is float, so it is not taking that at all. And one can see the error is on this line 0D, 2D, 1D, so it won't take. Right? So what I have to do is I have to change it back. 1, 2, 2.2. And now if I run it, it has no issues at all. Right? So it will take it. So that is not a problem. I have an example. I just put it here. I'll be sharing also. Okay. I have my notebooks already. I normally check them before I do anything. You can see that the product here is 500 into 60, and the division is this. But you can see I have put float on both the things, and the values have interchanged. Actually, the values were. I'll just copy this again. I'll make it.
So,
Yeah.
so can you again explain what is D and F?
Yeah, yeah. I'm coming to that. Don't worry. I'll tell you. D is decimal, F is float. Decimal
Okay.
value and F is float value. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So that is what I was actually trying to show you here also, that it was giving error because it was a float value and I was giving it as a decimal value. So it won't take it, this one. But here actually what I have given is 2 floats, right? And it will take this also as a float value. You can see that. The decimals, it has added the decimals. Also, there are no decimals there, right? So f gives me a float value. This also gives me a float value, and this is the proper format. That is first is p 0 pay. This sum is there. Product is on 1 and division is on 2. Right now, this is the format it has come into, and this is actually the right sequence. But if I change the sequence, it doesn't know that product, what is product and what is division. So your output is actually correct, but not in the same line, in the correct sequence, right? You have changed the sequence. So now what happened, instead of in front of product, what you have is division, and in front of division you have the product, which is actually logically incorrect, right? But it can be done. So we have to be careful when we give the sequence like this. But you have different options also. So need not give that. You can give the way you want. So, but you have to see that if you want to give a float value, if you want to control it, that is the only way you have. You have to give float. You can control the float here also, right? Like this also in f also 2.2. If I give, so it can be controlled. Okay. Now let's see how we take the input in Python. Okay. Let me make it proper. Okay, fine. So for input, we have very simple commands here. We just have to say input and we can get the input. Is equal to input and I can give in this enter a number. Very simple. I have not printed so it won't print anything. It will just take the input. So let me print it also. It will give you a box where you can input the number you want, and output you can get. So it is very simple. You can use input command. You can have more than one inputs if you want, and you can input a string also. Right now, string. It is always a string. 1 minute. I'll show you something very interesting. I'll just copy paste over my typing, and p is equal to input enter enter second. Two numbers I have. Now let's see. Suppose I say c is equal to a equal to a plus b, and I print c. Looks very simple, right? But let's see what comes. 34, 55. The answer is 3455. It has not added. Actually, it has concatenated the numbers. Okay. The reason is it actually takes the input in string, like we have in Java. The input here is also a string. So what you have to do in this case, you have to convert it into integers. Okay. So we need to convert it into integers. Without converting, actually what you are going to get will be your string only, right? And I can put print something like this also, and the string type also. So it will be string only. So it won't be your integer. So you have to typecast it. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the output, right? So typecasting can be done. Very simple. You can put int. One which I have not written typecast here. Need to be right. Typecast is actually changing the data type of the input or a variable also. And in Java, we call it parsing. Parsing is also the same thing. Typecasting, parsing, they're the same things, right? Let me try. There are two ways I can do it. I can put int, I can do that. Let me copy paste. Oh, it has taken. Sensitive. Now let me put int. Let's see. Int. Now it's okay. Now you get what you wanted, and you want the numbers to be separated by some space. You can give some space so that they look little tidy. Okay, so output is now in integer only. So you have to typecast because input by default is string in Python, like we have in Java also, right? So you can use it and you can do it. Int करके typecast, you can typecast and you can always use that. Okay, now we have something like consider the operator precedence also in your computing. So this is the operator precedence you have like this. I have to put enter, otherwise it will go in the same line. Issue with collab. It is not built for text actually. Okay. So we have the exponent, modulus, integers, division, multiplication, subtraction, and addition. This is what your operator precedence is. And actually, I can use it directly. I can put something like this. So first it has to take the exponent, then multiplication, brackets are there. Brackets are first solved always. So you can give directly also. That is what I was talking about interpreter. So you can give anything directly also in collab and otherwise also, and you can run them. So here you may not know the precedence, but actually the working will be based on this. On the precedence I have given. Now some functions which are important. These functions are actually which are of common use, which we use normally, and we require it also. One is your length function. There are many functions, and I can share that with you. That is to calculate the length, okay, of a string. So actually, what it returns number of characters in a string. All right. So this is what it has now. With me. Hi, what are you doing? Length, L is equal to length, and I'm just printing the length of the text. Okay, so we have to keep in mind when it is calculating the length, the space is also calculated. In between space is also calculated. 1 minute, I've got a call. I have to attend. 1 minute, I'll just mute. 1 minute, please. Okay, back. So here are we. Here. So you can see the length. This length includes the spaces in between also. In each case, spaces it is calculating that also. So it is not that it calculates only the characters. For any language, space is also a character. Any language, okay. So I'm not talking about just Python. I'm talking about all the languages. Now you can concatenate. This is again is required sometimes. There's one function which I'll be using now after this, which is commonly used to join the things, and you can use a plus sign to concatenate. I have already my notebooks there, so I'm just pasting from there. So the parrots are lovely. String 1, S2 is we must have them, and then S3 is S1 plus S2, and let's see. Now you can see that there is no space in between. So what I can do is I can either increase the space here or I can put a space in between, right? Or what I can do is something like this also, right? So it's your choice. You can add the space wherever you want. Now we have another option. Since S1, S2 are already there, so I can do one thing. I say dot join. This is what I was talking about. Join. And you can have store in S3 to S1. So 1 dot join S2. I can give something like this. S3. Join in S3, then see this is what happens. It is repeated. It repeats till a number of words you have. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times it should be repeated, or more than 4 times it will be repeated. 4 many words are there. You have to see that. So it repeats actually. So according to the number of words we have, so we can have it, but you have to be a little careful. I'll show you. Clarify how it works. You can have something like this also. Now this is okay. If I join directly S1 and S2, then S3 will be a repetition number of times. Length, I think it is lengthwise, takes the length and then it repeats. Otherwise, you can what you can do is you can have S3 with S1, S2, and then S4, and with a space dot join. That means between one sentence, it will just repeat one space. Whatever is on the left hand side, S1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 times it has to repeat at least. In this case, only space is there, so only space will be repeated. Otherwise, this will be repeated. Number of times you have, we must have them, and the pairs are lovely, will be concatenated, but will be repeated 4 times at least. 4048, I think. Yeah, you can calculate the length and check. All right, so we have this one. Now, what we can do? We can do something like this, and then I can put something else also. It's not necessary that I put a space in between. I can put something else also. Put a star here. You can see a star in between. So only once it is repeated, not many times. But I can show you something. Let's see. That will be, that will make it a little clear. 2 stars. So 2 stars. So whatever you give here, it will not be repeated. It's in quotes. It's not a sentence. If you give a sentence, it will be repeated. Otherwise, just use simply concatenate, and or you can use simple join. Concat also is there. We have concat option also. We have join option also. So you can use either that or simply plus. A simple plus will also do. So not an issue. Okay. These are the inputs and outputs. Now let's come to the conditional statements it has and the comparatives operators it has. So I'll just copy what I have already done. Just actually the logical operators, just opening to write again. so that I can save my time. I'll explain it. And logical operators. Okay. This is what I wanted to avoid actually. Anyway, it's okay. See, it is properly formatted now. Okay, so I'll just put here. So we have conditional statements. If else, else if. Elif we don't have else if here, we have elif. Then we have a comparative operators, equal, not equal to, less than equal to, greater than equal to, not equal to. There. So, and then we have logical operators, or, and, not, not, not x, or we can have something like this. So these you have, and we have to see how they work. Okay, suppose you have to find the greatest number of the two input. Find the greatest number. So what I can do is a is equal to int put enter number. Then we have b also. Copy. Number. If a is greater than b, so you have to look at the syntax. If you're careful, you need colons there. With for, while, if, you need colons. Colons means that the operation has terminated and it will continue on the next line like this. It's not it's continuing on the next line. Rather, you can see that, not terminated. Now print a greater in. You simply have else, again colon is required, otherwise it won't know that it has to go to the next line. B is greater. We have like this also. Fifty-four is greater than 32. Simple. Save it. Okay. Automatic saving is there, but still I prefer saving sometimes. It just misses out. Okay, so you can have if else like this. Now LF also we can see. Suppose we have to find the greatest of the three numbers. Okay, I'll just write find greatest of three numbers. Just copy this much. I'll be using some operators here now. I need one more number. I need C. The third number, if A is greater than B and A greater than C. If A is greater than B and C. Now I need elif. Okay. I need elif now because there is a condition now. Elif E greater than C, then E is greater than A and B. C, sorry. Now what is left? Only C is left now. Okay. I did not type C. Yeah, B greater than what? C. It, 65 is greater than 32 and 7. Right? So you can have something like this. Okay. So else, if and operator, logical operator, and they work like this. So we have conditional operators we have seen, and we have some keywords actually in Java which you cannot give as variables. So let me import it and show you. We run it. These are the keywords which cannot be used. Okay. So you cannot use them as variables. Name of the variables. Now, as I was saying, data and their types. Just copy an image I have. Okay. Yeah. Click somewhere. Okay. Let's see. So data types you can say, or containers we have here. Strings, numbers. Now strings and numbers are okay data types we have, but these are all containers after that, and they are type. They are into data types also. So let's not confuse ourselves. Let's have only data type, or we just call containers. Strings in double quotes or single quotes, numbers, it can be float or whatever. Then we have the list, then we have the tuples, dictionary, sets, and boolean. Boolean again is type only. So list, tuples, dictionary, and sets are basically your containers. Okay. So a tuple is in a round bracket. List is always in a square bracket, and dictionary is in a curly bracket. And but it has the labels and the name data, and the sets are always again in the curly bracket. We'll be seeing them, see them how they work and how we use them. And then we have something like this: numbers. This uh, it here. Numbers can be integers, floats, whatever it is, decimal thing. Int, float, complex also can be a number. Then we have the lists. Length as such is not defined, or there is no limit actually for the length part. Okay, so list we have. So list is it's an ordered sequence of items. It is like your arrays, and if you know what is an array is a linear collection of similar data type that is one after the other. It is when I say array, it is you can consider it as a train, a connected train. Okay, so this is what we have, something like this. But actually, lists we use like we have in C. If you have read C, if you have studied C or C++, there you have the data structures, and in data structures we have lists. So when we say lists, it's like a connected train with address, with one compartment having the address of the other. That is how coupling it is connected with through the coupling, right? But here also we have lists are similar to arrays. We have arrays also in Python, but we normally don't use them. But they are there, and I'll show you how we use the arrays also. But it is not required because we have lot of things, and we normally use lists and dictionaries and sets. Tuples also sometimes, but not always. And I can put something like this. A list is equal to it can have a multiple data type. The only issue with array and the difference between array and list, you can say, here is that array takes only singular data type because it is a linear collection of similar data type, but list is not. Okay, and the address thing is different also. You can see that it is taking that, and if I want to see the type of this variable n, what I can do is I can use the command type to check the type of my variable, which is very handy. But since you don't know that what data type is, and because you have not defined the data types, so it is always required to check the types, what the type of data it has returned. Right, my calculations, what type of data is returned by my calculations, I can use type and the variable name, and I can check the type of data it returned, or type of the data it has. Right. So if I want to access, so list or dictionaries or whatever we are using, the indexing starts from zero. Zero. That means, suppose, if I was talking about a train, in a train, first compartment is zero, next compartment is one, and so on. So it goes like this. And this list case also, it will be first element will be 0, second will be 1, and so on. So we always say that the indexing starts from 0. In some languages, the indexing starts from 1. But in this case, the indexing is as always with other languages, most of the languages rather we can say, it starts from 0. So if I have to just get 3.2, what I can do is, it is on address. This is one. I'll show you what is there on what. Three is not there, two is there. Sorry, mistake. 0, 1, 2. Right? So you can access directly using the address. You can extract from there. Now coming to tuple, these are small introduction. Otherwise, we'll be taking a bigger one also, bigger better look also, which is required because the data type is the most important thing in any coding. Without understanding the types, the syntax, you actually end up in problems. There are no shortcuts. Okay. So again, tuple is an ordered sequence like list only. They are immutable tuples, and what lists are mutable, and I'll show you the difference, what is mutable, what is immutable. The address does not change, the address changes, something like that. So mutable and immutable is like that, it cannot be changed, and what can be changed. Okay, so now difference with the tuple here, I'll give you this one. Just an example I already have. I'll just print the type also. We have the differences. It is not in a square bracket, it is in a round bracket. See, and the type is tuple. You can see that it is called tuple. And again, I want to access. The interesting part is when you want to access it, it will be always like this. It is always in a square bracket. So accessing is in a square bracket. Sticking in. Close it. You can see that. This is a complex number, 3j. We take j. In Python, we normally use j with a complex number. Otherwise, it is always I. Okay, so you can have one hello, 3j, so on. So you can access using the address, and it has to be in a square bracket only. Okay, and if I want to check, and I've said that this is complex number, but let's see. To check, I have to give type. Put it in a round curly, sorry, round bracket. See, have the type of every element. Integer, string, and complex. You can see the type. So individual you can also find because they have different data types, so you can always see. Okay. Mm. Okay, now we can have the strings and the sets. Since this is just a small introduction. Strings are nothing but actually collection of characters. And set is a collection of similar elements. So whatever is duplicate will be removed. That is something very interesting about the sets. Okay. Can just put it like this. This is a string, just in double quotes. You can have hello, how are you? Like this. You can have, and you want to find the length, you can put lm command. Yes. Okay. Now let's see the set. Set is equal to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 49. S type of S. So the moment you put in a curly bracket, it becomes a set. Okay. Now let me take it here. Right, I'll just remove it. Duplicates are automatically set. I'll put some numbers again. I have repeated some numbers. So it has a duplicate list. 2 has come 3 times, then we have 3, 4, and so on. Let's run it, and you'll find that all the duplicates have come. So if you want to remove some duplicate elements from your data, it's very simple. You don't have to write any code, just put it in a set. Right? So set command can be used, set you can use, and you can simply remove it. Okay. Uh, I'll show you. Let me put it something like this. You won't be having actually output in okay, set. So what you will be getting is something like this. In this, in uh, let's see, type of in uh, this is equal to set in type of s mm, s. You can see that this is list which is converted into a set and duplicates gone. Now what I can do, one more thing, is n is equal to, I want a list, convert कर लेते हैं वापस. Okay, what I've done is I've converted back. I'll just explain it again. You can see this now. So my problem was that I have an output which has duplicate values, and that is in a list. It could be have been in some other thing also. It could have been in a tuple also. So whatever it is, you can always convert. So what I did is I converted it into a set. The moment I put it in a set, all the duplicates will automatically go. So I don't have to go to remove the duplicates, right? All I have to do is put it in a set, and the duplicates will be removed automatically. Then uh, I need again the list. So what I do is again I will use n is equal to list s. It will again convert it back the list, the set into a list, and again store it into n. So now the variable n has only unique elements. All the duplicates gone, and it is list again. And set will remain set, and list will be list. But now the list won't be having the duplicate elements. So that is very cool about Python. That with a very small line of codes, you can do a lot of things. Otherwise, I will have to write a code for that. I'll have to either sort the data, or I'll have to check every element whether the duplicates are there or not, and then I have to right. So that is one thing I can always avoid using Python, and that is why Python is the most famous language these days. Although Java is still stronger as far as computation power is concerned, as far as consistency is concerned, Python is more flexible and it has more option these days. So now let's see. So how the other part, that is the last part, dictionaries is work. A very small introduction. We'll have to do them also. I'll share this once I'm done. So it is an unordered key value pair. You need a key and a value. Okay. Normally, when we have a big data, we use dictionaries, and when we are reading data from Excel files, like we have the headers and the values, we can use dictionaries also there. We can have the data frames also. So we have different things. So we have a key value things here. You have to give a key and then you have to give a value. Okay. So let me have it. So one is the key, value is the value. Other you can give key and then two also like this also, and you can print it and see. First let's print and then see. You can see like this dictionary. So you can give the data like that. We will be taking it later in detail also. But this is just an introduction. Then one is the value. So your key can be integer or it can be a string. That is what is shown here, and the value there, and you can access them through the loops that I'll have to show in detail, but it's okay for now. So let's see, mutable and immutable cover, since it came earlier. So let me first explain that. Data types have finished with the basic introduction. So before that, let me before I proceed, let me tell you what mutable and immutable is, which came actually. So a variable which cannot be changed after it has been created, that is your immutable type, and variable which can change is mutable type. That is very simple way of saying, but we have to see how they work. So immutable variables cannot be changed, but how the variable cannot be changed, that we have to see. So let me put an example here. Suppose we have v1 and v2. One is a list, one is a tuple. So I want to see the address, memory address of v1, and I want to see the memory address of v2. To get the address, I use a command called id. Id returns the address of any variable. When I say address, actually, what happens when I give a variable, it is stored in a memory, right? So the moment I say v1, one memory is allocated to it. A memory location is allocated to it. When I put the data, it is stored in that memory location, right? Pointers we have, but we don't have pointers in Python, so let's not talk about that. So we have v1 here, 263, then v2, 578. That is a tuple, and I just want to see where it is stored. So I'm using id command to get the memory location where it is stored. So this is the memory address it returned, right? Now let's see. Okay. So v0, v10 has 2, right? 0 has 2. I want to replace that. I want to put v10 as 9, and I print v1 963. It can be done. And I want to see the ID of v1. Just remember the ID of v1 was this one. Okay, and now you see the address is still the same. Although I have changed the value, the address remains the same. Now, let me show you some other example. And the idea is I'll print v1 plus means you're adding, okay? You're adding the values. v1 plus equal to and v2 plus equal to. That means whatever was existing, I'm adding to that. 963 was there. 260 I have added to v1. And the 12, 10, and 9 I have added to v2. Now look at the address of v1. What was the address of v1? It was 140 299 8769 2966 sorry 29696, and that is what is still there, 29696. So address has not changed. Now let's look at the tuple. The tuple had this address 140 299 8. I'll just copy it. You can see it yourself that the address has changed actually. I'll put it here. So this was the address which was there of the tuple. It was 140 299 877 but it has changed now to 140 299 877, and it is now 554986. The last digits, the last address has changed. Right? So tuple actually is immutable. What happens when I add the values to a list? It actually appends to it without making any other copy in the memory. So same address is returned. But when we talk about the tuple, what happens? It creates another copy and stores at a different location. That is why it is immutable. Had it been mutable, then what the address would have been same, like in case of our list. So that is the basic difference. I'm putting the text here for your reference. This is I said I have put it here also. And we have, let's see, P2, and I want to print the first element, so I can do that. And in a list, I could actually replace the value like this. V0, V10 is equal to 9. Let me try this with a tuple. I'm putting the print statement also. V2, in here V2, same thing, but on the list. It gives you an error. It says tuple object does not support item assignment. It is not possible. You can append, you can add. But if I want to just replace it, I cannot replace it directly. Although we have options to do things, but it cannot be done directly. Okay. So this is one issue you have. So let it be. Let the error be there. And we have to understand the errors of Python also. You can see the error. You can see the arrow. It is pointing at line 1, V2, and then type of error. And sometimes if you are not able to make out what the error is, you can simply copy this error and you can Google it, because you won't find anywhere else. I can tell you very frankly. And you can find out the reason, because what happens sometimes the module changes, so your same command may not be working next time you use. Okay, so that is quite possible. So to avoid that, it is better to be in touch with your syntax. It changes, updates, it tells you in advance, but sometimes you miss it. And suppose you are using a command which was 2 years or 3 years back, so it may not work. It may have changed, the module may have been updated. So you can always, when you get the error, just don't panic, just copy the error like I have done here. Don't have to use the type error, and just search it on Google. So normally the docs will be there. The docs will tell you what has changed about the module, or Stack Overflow is there, which tells you, okay, fine, the person has had this problem, same the problem, and how the person solved the problem, and you can see that, right? Or you can always message me. You can drop a message that I'm getting an error. This is the error. I can tell you the error, what the reason for the error could be, right? So it is actually all practice. With practice, you will come to know what the error could be, or you can search. Searching is the
Sir,
best option. Yeah,
sir.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we cannot change the tuple because it's immutable, and we can change the list. It is mutable, sir.
Yes, yes, yes. You
Okay,
can,
sir.
yeah, you can. That is why it gave the error. This one, you cannot. You can
Okay, sir.
append.
Thank
You can append, but you cannot change. Right? Update option is there. You have an option there. You can update also, but that I'll come to it once I'll take into details. I'll be doing that. You can update a set, okay, but not tuple is immutable. So we don't do that. Okay. So let's have something interesting now. Okay, what we were doing. Okay, I did not tell you that it works in minus also. I'll show you. Now let's see. V1 we have, and if I say minus 1, let me first print V1, so it is right in front of me. Right? Now, print V1 and minus 1. So what it returns, see, 3. Where is 3? There.
Last 3.
The last element, yes. So it starts from the right. So if you want to start from the right, you have to give minus 1. If you start from the left, it is always 0. I can give you some more so that it is more visible and clear. I missed something. Yes, I missed the. I gave the space. 6. You can see that. So you can go from right to left or left to right. Python has no issues. It is actually written for those who are not very keen in programming. So they say, okay, it doesn't matter. As long as you can program, that's fine. If I have to find, in a list a number, okay, it's very simple. Python actually works like your English language. So if I say if we have 6, B1, can you print found else in the quotes? I'll have to put it in the quotes. If 6 in V1, it is found, it is there. And if it is not found, I can give something which is not there. So it will tell me that it is not there. We find 4. 4 is not there in the list. Yeah, 4 is not there in the list. So you can use it with tuple also. So that's not an issue. So you can have a true, false, or found, whatever you want to give it. Okay. And I want to print all the elements. I can use a loop, and how for loop is used. Let's see, for I in V1, very simple. Language is so simple. For I in V1, print V1. So sorry, print V1 I. Print I, you can say that. It's stored here. Let me put in. Otherwise, in I always tells me that it is an index. So it is not index. So it reads every element from V1 in n one by one and prints it. Now, as I was saying, I want to print in the same line. So what I can do, I put the list in my same line. Like this. I'll give you time to practice. So you can just simply have a look right now. We are accessing, that is okay. And combinations we can have. Even we have a combination. I use like this if I have different data types. You have to keep in mind that Python is indent based. Okay, it is very particular about indents, and I'll show you the error it will generate if I don't give proper indent. Actually, I'm using Colab, so it is indenting my on its own. Actually, it is not like that. Let me put it now. As we I have not generated the error right now. See, different data types it's stored in. It doesn't make a difference to in whether it is integer, float, string, or whatever. I'll create an error. See, expect an indented block. This is an error it will generate if it is not properly indented. All you have to do is you have to just copy it. Okay, I will keep the error so that you know how the error comes. It is always interesting to generate errors if you want to learn. See, it's okay, right? So indent is not proper, so it will give you an error. And you can give this one even if I want the comma to be put in between, I can put a comma. From space, I can give a comma. So n equal to what? We can give like this. If you want to give some more space, sorry. Whatever you want to give, you can give. Right? Makes more sense. So, okay. Now, I want to see the type. I'll print the type also. You can see that integer, float, string, and then again integer. So you can have something like this. Now we have okay, this again is actually interesting and required in most of the programs. Range, so range from 0 to 1 with a step of 1. There are 3 elements: starting, ending. Let me leave it. I'll just So if you want to put a comment, what you have to do in Python, you have to put a hash. Okay. So range is start, end, and the step. Enter them. See, it will generate numbers of 0 to range 0 to 100, but it is not printing. Obviously, I'll print it now. In B, I equal to numbers 0 to 99. Last is not taken. So if you want to print the 100 also, so you have to use 101. Starting is 0, 0 to 100 will be 50. When you're accessing your arrays, you can actually use this to get the elements. Let me have show you the step, what step would do. Five. See, 5, 10, 15, and so on. 95. Obviously, 100 is not included, so it won't be there. And I can have in the reverse order also. Set Control C and put it here. Reverse order, or you can say decreasing order. What I can do is from 100 to 0. Starting from 100 goes to 0, but here it has to be minus. It's a minus 2. See. Is there? All the elements last comma will be there because comma is here. Always remove that or ignore it. It's okay. And now let me see if I have to find a number. And, let's see. Okay. Just giving you an example, which I have already created. We have a list with few numbers. I'm asking the user to input a number and trying to find out whether the number is in the list or not. So if I'm not sure what the number is, I can put any number. It will tell me whether it is there or not. It is there. If you have to find a number in a list, you can find it this way. You can ask the user to input a number and then you can find the number. Okay. And let me do it with a string also. We have taken all the integers till now. So we have a string, list of strings, only strings, and I want to find it out if it is there or not. I want to see whether ball is there in the list. I'll put if ball in S and I'll just print found and done. Done, that means the code is done. Okay. You can have with integers also. So if you have in single quotes, just want to show you single quote, then also it is a string. It's not say that only in double quotes it is a string. It can be a single quote also. I'll be telling you the difference. Okay. So let me show you something else also, some operator, mathematical operator. I'll solve an issue. I'll write a program to find the quotient and remainders. And we have already the values. Okay. So x is 15, we know that. Y is 6. Okay. So remainder r is equal to x mod. So mod, the moment I get mod, it will give me the remainder. So for quotient, I can use q. So q is equal to x by y. So it will return me the quotient. Some equation, some quotient, whatever it is. I'll just put it like this and see. It is giving me 27.5. Actually, it should be integer, so I put int. Right. Now it will just return 27. Oops, the number has increased. It is like that. Okay. Right. So integer part only you have to take. So you just put int, and then you get that number. Right. So you have to get the remainders. You have a mod sign, and if you divide it, it gives you the quotient. So that you can use. Okay. I'll be saving this in the repository also. Okay, let me save it first, and I'll share the link so that you can take your time and go through it before I talk further. Saving it to AIML. Okay, I'll share the link now in the chat also, in the group also. So you have the link. Okay, here you are. Here you are. I'll put it in the chat. The link is there. Okay. Now, and then I'll put in the WhatsApp group also. It has gone. Okay. So I think you guys can have a look at it before I can go further, because if you don't go through it, then it will create some confusions. Because now we'll be talking about collections and coding, so you can take your time. Okay, I'll stop the recording and we'll continue the recording when I'll continue with this. So what you can get, you need 15 minutes will be okay for you to go through it very fast.
Yes, sir.
Okay, just take 15 minutes. I'll stop the recording for now and continue when I'll speak. Okay, stopping the recording.